Hi everybody and welcome to the XYZ of Betting. I'm the MoneyMan, Kevin Ferguson. I got the MoneyBoy, Oliver Keohane, and I got Shakes Rampedi, fondly known as Shakes in the house. Shakes, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, and how are you guys doing?
Well, I've been sort of, last week was mediocre for me and hopefully this week I can get back up. But I know that you're leading now in our sort of like friendly competition of the most picks in the Premier League. I think you're one or two, I think you're one ahead. Wally, what's the score on that?
Yeah, well, Shakes is at 35, you're at 34, and I'm at 33.
Wow, so you couldn't get much closer, and the competition isn't won in the eighth week. So hopefully I can keep up to Shakes this week, and maybe the cream is rising to the top there with Shakes. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah, anytime you are ahead of Kevin Ferguson and Oliver in anything, you gotta celebrate it, man. I'll take this one.
I don't know. I think all those accounts are sort of gradually just dropped in the last 2 weeks.
Look, my money account's up to 14,000, so I'm leading.
Okay.
I'm leading where it counts. I had some
better than you were on Monday.
I had some nice wins last night on the NCAA football, which Shakes, I doubt if you know anything about college football in the States.
No, what is that again? Tennis ball on the racket.
So I try and cash in on stuff that I know a lot more about. But football has been tough this year, and especially over the last few weeks. It's been, anybody. It really is the most competitive league in the world. Anybody can beat anybody, unless you're Burnley and Sheffield. But everybody else can beat everybody else, and we've seen a very interesting start to the season. And
Yes.
I'm going to suggest a bet to some people later on where you guys are going to think I'm absolutely crazy, especially after what we've spoken about in earlier shows. So I'll give you, that's a bit of suspense for you, but we'll get into that. Let's get into Brighton, Burnley. Brighton sits 16th on the table, playing Burnley, who sit rock bottom.
Yeah, it's an inspiring one.
Yeah. It is an inspiring fixture, that's for sure. I mean, obviously, I don't know about you guys. I think if you look at like how the season has started, I think Brighton actually, in terms of the football they play, I think they're top 5. But they're not getting any wins at all, despite passing the ball really well and moving the ball really well. It's just not happening. And for me, my prediction is going to be Burnley get their first win this weekend against Brighton.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, well, stranger things have happened. Ollie, what are you thinking?
Look, I think Brighton are the better side. I think they've got a greater scoring capacity than Burnley, but Burnley's defense has been a little bit troublesome. I mean, they've been losing, but there's teams still kind of struggle to get more, like quite a few goals past them. So I think it's going to be like a 1-0 to Brighton. Bit of a scrappy match.
Yeah, look, to me,
It's a clean sheet.
I reckon, yeah. I think yeah, don't try to talk me out of the Shakes. 1-0's my prediction.
look, I think that
I think from what I've seen from Brighton, they play really well, but they're not getting wins, man. And I think if Burnley wanted any chance of surviving the league, they have to win this one.
yeah, it'll be difficult to have got 1 point from 9 games, 27 points potentially, and have aspirations of hanging on to Premiership football next year, especially with the likes of Leeds, who look like they're more than capable of getting 40 points this year.
Yeah.
So, they're not going to overtake a team like Leeds. So, but for me, I just like the Seagulls on the coast against a Burnley team that had 1 point out of 27. I'm going to go for a 2-1 prediction for Brighton. I'm going against you, Shakes.
Oh, let's do it.
Next up is Southampton traveling away to Newcastle. Another Friday night game.
I'm actually quite looking forward to this one. I wouldn't have been as excited to watch it start of the season. Thought Southampton started pretty poorly. Newcastle were kind of like a niggly side that wasn't getting any wins, but now, Southampton, Newcastle last 2 weeks have been really good. Put away Everton 2-0. I think that was Newcastle last week. Southampton put away Aston Villa. I think this could be a 2-2 draw. Danny Ings to score.
Well, I wouldn't bet on Danny Ings to score because he's not playing.
Oh, is he injured?
He's injured.
Okay. Well, 2-2 either way.
Okay.
2-2 either way. Look, it is going to be very hard with the fact that Danny Ings will not be featuring within this game. But for some reason, if you look at Southampton, other than the Chelsea draw, and which was also a very good draw, they won all of their last 4 games or 5 games that they've played, other than the Chelsea one. And I think they're in good form. James Ward-Prowse is getting in on the goals. Shea Adams is getting in on the goals. Can't underestimate Newcastle, no doubt, because Callum Wilson as well can be a threat. I think I'm going to go as well 1-1 in this game.
Yeah, look, Southampton still, for me, have Yannick Vestergaard and James Ward-Prowse, who both played well in their victory against Aston Villa. It seems that the shine is definitely off Aston Villa, and Newcastle beating Everton. And that, to me, I mean, Everton, again, just the shine's going off them.
That's a pity, though. It's sad to watch.
It is. Look, I think it'll be a low-scoring game, and I like Southampton. I mean, they've won, they've won 4 of the last 6 games with a draw and a loss. And for me, I'm going to take Southampton to win 2-0.
Oh, so let's go Southampton.
Exactly. Next up is Everton versus Man United. Wow.
Interesting one to call, because I mean, United kind of have to win this. But by the same token, they were terrible last night, and Everton also are in a bit of a must-win situation if they want to kind of uphold their good start, and the kind of like gravitas that they had behind them for the first few games, like having lost 2 in a row now. So yeah, it'll be tough to call. Everton's at home. Manchester United, they do have the players, the capability to come out and pox a win. And I think it would be a pox. It wouldn't be because there's a particular structure or team culture there. But yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 2-1 to Man United.
Shakes, what say yay?
Yeah, no, I won't lie. I actually I agree with what Oliver was saying, and as well as that prediction as well. If you look at Everton, on the other hand, if they ever wanted to prove that top 4 is the place to be, they have to beat Manchester United because of how wounded they are. They lost, obviously, in Europe last night, and also the fact that they lost over the weekend to Arsenal, the beloved Arsenal. And now you sort of think to yourself, Everton have to win this clash because you're trying to prove something. But I think the injury to James Rodriguez, I heard that he's not available, and as well as also Lucas Digne and Richarlison won't be able to feature because they're suspended as well. And I think Ole's going to pull something out the bag here. I can see Everton playing really well, dominating, but for some reason, like Oliver said, United win 2-1.
Yeah, I can see like a Bruno Fernandes penalty or something like that, and then like goal from Rashford.
Yeah, I definitely too.
Yeah, both teams are coming off 2 losses. My concern for Man United is them playing last night. Playing a Champions League fixture, which is always a tough fixture to play. And the turnaround time being 3 days, it's not a lot of rest while Everton's been laying in wait. And they still have Calvert-Lewis and Jimenez. They've still got a decent side. I'm going to have to go. I think these teams are evenly matched, and Everton at home are a different proposition. I'm going to go with a 1-0 draw on this game.
Okay.
Oh,
Fair shout.
Yeah, when in doubt, pick B, the draw. Next up we have Crystal Palace versus Leeds.
This one is what we've all been waiting for. This is the biggest fixture of the weekend.
For me, definitely.
Okay, so Crystal Palace going up against Leeds United. I think Crystal Palace fell into their ways. I can't believe how easily Wolves turned them over last weekend. And I think they fell into their ways of having to rely on Wilfred Zaha to do something again. At the same point, I think Leeds United were brought back down to earth with that 4-1 loss to Leicester. And I've got good news for Kevin and Leeds and Lucas Khadebe, is that I think Leeds United are going to win this one. I think 3-1 even. I think Crystal Palace will be over-reliant. And I think the way Leeds press, not too many teams can deal with that. So for me, 3-1 Leeds United.
Do you want to go, Kevin?
No, I'll go after you, bud.
I think definitely Leeds to bounce back. They're a good side, like a few little hiccups, but they're a better side than Crystal Palace. They've got goal scoring capacity. 2-1 for me to Leeds.
Yeah, look, Bielsa is the sort of guy that demands excellence and an intensity in training, and I don't see Leeds having back-to-back poor games. And in that game, Bamford should have scored in the first 3 minutes. That header that he had was a sitter. That should have been in the net, and Leicester should have been kicking off. So and that was a 2-goal swing in the spate of 40 seconds. You then had Leeds playing really well and dominating possession and chances in the early part of the second half. And I can't remember who it was, but one of them smacked right off the crossbar on a beautiful, that could have easily changed the game. Leeds had 67% in the possession in that match as well. And I just think that they're a better club than Crystal Palace and have a better manager. So I also like Leeds for a 2-0, 2-1 victory at Crystal Palace.
Look, it's a good thing when we're all agreeing. Usually means that the bets go well.
Yeah, usually does. Next up, we have an easy one. Chelsea versus Sheffield United.
I'm going to go...
Yeah. Go ahead.
For me, Chelsea recently, especially against teams like Sheffield United, they kind of they're in control of the whole game. They start very slowly, and then you see sort of 2-3 goals in the second half. So I like Chelsea to put away a big score on Sheffield. I'm thinking 4-1 maybe this weekend.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shakes.
Look, I think. I honestly I don't think Sheffield United will ever get embarrassed. They played against Arsenal, they played against Liverpool, they played against City, and none of those games necessarily were ever big scores per se. At the same point, I got to give Chelsea credit. I mean, in the last 3 games, I'm seeing that they've scored 10 goals in the last 3 games, and they have 3 clean sheets, 5 clean sheets in the last 5 games, actually, no competitions. And Edward Mendy brings confidence to the defense. And I have to admit, I think Frank Lampard is getting something right finally. And I think I'm going to go Chelsea 2-0.
Yeah, for me, we're starting. I mean, they've won they're undefeated in the last 6 matches. They won 3 on the bounce, including last night's game. They're not conceding as many goals. The 3-0, they're getting a lot of clean sheets, which is always encouraging from a managerial point of view. Maybe I've been too critical on Frank, and he is starting to get that chemistry right. And the depth in that squad is something else. It's one of the deepest squads, if not the deepest squad in the Premier League, as a testimony to the amount of money that they've invested in it. So I believe that they have turned a corner, and I'm expecting some good things for Chelsea, and especially against Sheffield. It's one of those games again. Sheffield have lost 5 out of their last 6 matches. They've drawn 1. They've had a tough schedule, like you said: Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and now Chelsea. I mean, you can't play for tougher teams than that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do when they emerge out of this sort of this bumpy road or this difficult road of tough teams to play. But I still like Chelsea to beat them, and I'm going to say a 2-0 win for Chelsea here. They've just got too many options, too much talent, and Sheffield unfortunately won't be able to match them.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at least for them, the lucky thing is that after that game, at least the fixtures ease up a little bit. And yeah, they go to teams that perhaps they can pick up points from. But in the last 5 games, they've been unlucky to face a Leeds that press, an Arsenal team that just has more quality than them, Liverpool that has more quality, City that has more quality, and now Chelsea has more quality as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Next up, we have another uninspiring game. We have, I shouldn't say another. I mean, it's just West Ham versus Fulham. You know.
Yeah.
And we were pretty critical on West Ham for the beginning of the season because we felt that they would be a contender for relegation, and they sort of made us eat a bit of humble pie. And even their last loss against Liverpool, they were very unlucky to lose that game, I felt.
Yeah. Look, they've been a tough side to beat.
Yeah.
They haven't been getting wins, but they've been drawing to some top flight sides, and they're proving to be good competitors.
Yeah. And I'm not going to read too much. I'm not going to read too much into the West Bromwich Albion victory. I thought West Brom were atrocious in their loss to Fulham. Neither one of them play possession football, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, West Ham, I think, had 28% possession against Liverpool, who do play possession football really well, and Fulham had 45% against a West Brom side. So it'll be interesting to see who takes the attack to who in this game. And obviously I have to pick, so I'm going to pick a West Ham victory 2-1.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. One thing I love about what you said, Kevin, is that the Fulham win over West Brom was not too it's not like that Fulham have turned the corner now and they're going to start performing really well. It was just, I think, West Brom are really bad, and it's almost they're facing the same team of their level anyways. So you probably find when West Brom meets Fulham later on in the season, they'll probably beat Fulham at home. I don't think anything is different there. And as for West Ham, you got to give it to them. I mean, they've played Spurs, they've played City, they've played Liverpool, and they've managed to not get completely knocked out in each game. Even the Liverpool one, they scored first, and it's Liverpool eventually. And I think they're going to beat Fulham, and they're going to beat them convincingly. And I'm going to go with West Ham 3, Fulham 0.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go simple West Ham 2-1 win.
Simple as, eh?
Mm.